if you don't believe in evolution or you do believe in a God, this is your chance. Call in that number at the bottom of the screen, 720-619-2288. We would love to talk to you. In the meantime, let's talk to Talon, pronouns he, him, calling in from Itchy Navel, who says he believes that evolution and God are both real. Let's talk about that. Talon, you're on the line with Forrest and Aron. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Never had a bad day, man.
Oh yeah, that's what's up.
So walk us through this, because I've heard this before, and people usually have different ideas about what that means. So walk me through your beliefs.
You ever heard about the physics of consciousness or any of the research kind of like heading in that direction?
It's not my area. So I know a little bit about consciousness and I know a little bit about physics, but they're kind of outside of my research area. So I would love to hear what you have to say about them.
Just pretty quick. There's a pretty leading theory out there that the state of consciousness, what a state of matter that your consciousness takes, is actually plasma. And there's a fair amount of objective research to back that. But if we could run off of that hypothesis, we could probably start of like a picture of the whole universe, I guess, being vibration, plasma, and then after the plasma settles, you'll get electron geometry, which gives you pretty much the building blocks of like the periodic table of elements. So like hydrogen is a tetrahedron. I'm going into some other shit, but pretty much I think that God himself, or the definition of God that's like the most objective and unbiased, if you had to reach somebody, is when energy becomes conscious and starts creating matter. So at some point of where that plasma cooled and settled, we had some shit like mycelium ended up spreading out, and then you had human consciousness developing through that. So I think that everything pretty much can be explained.
So okay, so hold it.
When energy becomes consciousness and begins creating matter.
So you
I'm sorry, I did kind of get
that is not remotely
I
similar.
think somewhere
It's not remotely similar to any definition of God I've ever heard, and it doesn't apply to most gods.
I think that's just what you want to define God as. If you define God as conscious energy that creates, then that pretty much means any deity that can create Apollo? Throughout their energy.
Well, that's I mean, this is Talon's God that we're talking about here. So let's stick with that. So we got conscious. You threw out a lot of words here, and I just want to try to dig through some of them, because some of them were a little bit of salad for me, and so I want to make sure I'm understanding. You said conscious energy that create. You said conscious energy that creates matter.
When energy becomes conscious, so
right.
His God did not create the universe. His God is a product of the Big Bang.
Right. Because we don't have energy that we know of before that. At least I don't think so. I'm not a physicist or cosmologist.
I do not know. There's a lot of arguments on whether there was energy or not. I think plasma and vibration, those two concepts, at least, those things have been here since the beginning of the universe type shit. So like, you know, I think
so. The other thing I have here is consciousness as plasma. That's another thing that I've written down here. You also threw out the word mycelium. You said that consciousness creates matter, creates mycelium, which then creates physical beings.
No, what I mean is that like somewhere down the line where plasma ends up like heating and cooling during one of those stages, the how do I explain this? I guess like the protoplasm, or whatever you would like to describe like the human unit as, like somewhere when that plasma is heating and cooling, organic matter arose, and that organic matter became conscious. So like I think plasma being consciousness, and then it's pretty much God is plasma, essentially. That's kind of how.
What indication do you have? What indication do you have that there is a consciousness outside of living beings?
There have been multiple reports from doctors who've had near-death experiences, being able to explain events happening outside of the operating room. There's also been
I gotta help you with this. After 50 years of research into near-death experiences, one or two of the top researchers quit, realizing that there's nothing to it. Susan Blackmore famously was beguiled by this back in the 1980s. And realized that after 50 years, After 50 years
I mean,
of concentrated research, there are
right. Like
there are very few instances that don't have clear explanations, and you've got nothing after all this time, nothing to substantiate that there is a there.
I think that's just you not doing enough objective research, honestly.
That's me reading.
Give me a second. How would you explain them in several countries around the world that kids say that this is where I died, and then they literally have a team go to a place that was undiscovered for multiple years, and they can literally tell you the exact wound that they got that killed them. You've had multiple.
So here's the issue. Yeah, that's the issue here is you saying that we're not doing objective research. No, like the thing is, what you're describing here, I don't know of any actual like peer review publications that are like making this case. This sounds like just some stories from some people, and they may be very compelling stories.
Oh yeah,
but even
Dr. Roger Penrose, yeah. So yeah, I got you, Dr. Roger Penrose. He thinks that consciousness is a quantum effect, and then you have Dr. Stuart Hameroff, who thinks that the microtubules give way to those quantum effects. So quantum effects
those are different things. Those are different things.
Don't realize it. No, those are the exact same thing because plasma is always a quantum interaction.
Talon. Those are different things than what you're claiming, and none of those things indicate. None of those things give any hint.
Quantum interaction either.
Right. None of those things indicate. Dude, you're gonna have to let us talk. Neither of those things indicate the existence or even hint at the existence of consciousness outside of a physical body. We have no evidence whatsoever. We don't know for sure what consciousness is. We are damn sure that it is an emergent property of brains, of a nervous system. We don't know exactly what it is or exactly how it works, but seeing that it's an emergent property of a nervous system seems overwhelmingly clear. We have no evidence whatsoever and no indication whatsoever and no recorded instances whatsoever of any kind of consciousness existing outside of a physical body, except for stories, sometimes stories by credentialed people, but nothing that's ever been actually empirically tested or demonstrated to be real.
I'm about to Google this right now because I do not believe you.
You should have done that earlier.
Honestly,
you accused me of not having done enough objective research after I've invested a decade of my life into this, and you're just going to Google it?
Please. Can I get a second to rebuttal against the statement that you made? Right, because you're saying that there's no objective evidence that's ever been entered for consciousness, right? So what you
scientific
did
evidence, nothing serious.
Hold on. No, I'm trying to be serious. It seems like y'all being disingenuous, bro. But like, okay, so y'all saying that there's been no objective evidence for consciousness outside of the body, and then you brought up a source that says that we do not have. You pretty much brought up a source. Who was the doctor that you brought up again that says there was no evidence? I'm sorry.
I haven't mentioned any doctors.
Okay. There have been several doctors themselves who said they've had near-death experiences, like they've witnessed things outside of the operating room.
Right. But that has nothing to do with what I said.
That has plenty. Okay, so if you can have a conscious observation outside of the body and then you can recount events, that's consciousness outside the body.
Like, verify that you're not just telling the story.
Have a good day,
that's the thing. Talon, what we're talking about here is actually something that's like testable. Somebody saying something is not science. We're talking about something that is an actual demonstratable, testable experiment, something that can be reproduced in a lab, something we can actually quantify and measure, not just, I heard somebody said, a doctor said a thing happened. And if that's what you're bringing to the table, it's ridiculous that you would accuse Aron and I of not doing enough research. I know you don't give a fuck because you hung up just now. But like at the end of the day, you need to do more than I'll Google this while I'm on the air to see if maybe anybody said I'm right first. Like, fuck, man. It's just lazy as shit. Try again, Talon. Try again. I'm still stuck on plasma becomes energy, or conscious energy creates matter that becomes mycelium that makes consciousness. I would love to know what the bridge from plasma to mycelia are.
Yeah, and I haven't done enough objective research because what he's done is he heard a story about a bunch of hearsay and just accepted it uncritically. And so that's his unbiased objective research.
I saw a blog post where a man said some doctor said some stuff, and that's research. Talon, probably.
Hey, what's up? I'm glad you enjoyed that clip of people talking to each other. I'm Jimmy, and this is Eric. And well, we'd really love it if you would support us. Where can they support us, Eric? Where would they do that?
I don't know, Jimmy, because I don't have the notes on me right now.
This is too long. The outros have to be short. Patreon.com/call the line.